to you, Representative Chairman Manglonia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I believe I made a motion to, I'm not sure, I think it was seconded.
No, it wasn't seconded.
Okay, then I'll just restate the motion, Mr. Speaker.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and colleagues. At this time, I would like to make a motion to override Section 601 of the Governor's Communication 22-80 regarding the fiscal year 2022 Budget Act. To override the line item veto on Section 601.
A motion has been made by Representative Donald Manglonia to override Section 601 of Public Law 22-08. To override, yes, the veto. Thank you for that clarification. Section 601 of Public Law 22-08 and has been seconded. Discussion. Recognize Representative Leila Staffler.
Thank you, Speaker, and thank you, colleagues, for allowing me to state one of the reasons why we would like to override this veto. The current statute, Title I, Division 8, from 8221 to 8223, pretty much authorizes the governor, lieutenant governor, Senate president, and speaker to obtain government houses for private residents. In Section 2223, it states that the personnel office shall designate houses for permanent residents for the 4 positions, which we all know to be, at least for the governor and lieutenant governor, the houses that exist here on Capitol Hill. I think it's 1335 for the lieutenant governor's house, and I don't know the number of the governor's house, but it is the one that is behind the Homeland Security area. We know these houses has been designated for years and years. They were last used, I believe, in what administration? In the 90s. And so they have been existent. Those have been the designated houses that we all as a community know to be the official housing. Within the statute, it does not say anywhere that the utility bills shall be paid in lieu of government housing not being available. In fact, I would go so far as to say that the Department of Finance practice of authorizing utility payments for not just one, as the JGO hearings have shown us, but several residences of the governor alone. And none of these charges have been authorized by law and should cease immediately. And that is one of the main reasons that we propose to override that veto. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Staffler. Floor is still open. Are we ready? I recognize Representative Sheila Babauta.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Colleagues, I think it's important for us and for the viewing public to read into the record what language is being vetoed. And so for the members of the viewing public, Section 601, utilities, is what we are discussing right now because it has been line item vetoed by the governor. And it reads, the amount appropriated for the payment of utilities shall not be reprogrammed, nor shall other appropriations be reprogrammed for the payment of utilities, except for the purpose of covering increased utility costs due to rate increases. Notwithstanding any provision of law to the contrary, funds that are appropriated by this act or any subsequent amendments shall not be used or reprogrammed to pay for the utilities of any elected officials, including but not limited to any utility expenses incurred at a private or official residence. For purposes of this section, utilities does not include the expenses of elected officials incurred by reason of traveling or working on official business outside their respective home senatorial district. So members, that's the exact language that is being line item vetoed by our governor. We did feel as a body that this language was important to include in our budget law because of, well, everything that Rep. Leila just stated, for the record. And I think it would be irresponsible of us not to acknowledge the abuse of public funds when it comes to paying for utilities that the JGO committee has uncovered under Chairwoman Selena Babauta's leadership. And so because the governor's reason for line item vetoing this language was, basically because it's been done in the past and the housing units on Capitol Hill are not in living condition, we believe that is not reason enough to continue this kind of abuse. And so, members, I do ask for your support. I support overriding this veto. I think this language is important to include in our budget bill. We can model responsible governance, we can model accountability, and we can also, modeling learning from what was uncovered in the JGO committee. And so with that, Mr. Speaker, I do support override of this line item veto, section 601 under utilities. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Sheila Babauta. I now recognize Representative Ed Probst.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, colleagues, for allowing me to comment on this. I just wanted to ask, Mr. Speaker, it says here, this is authorized for the governor, lieutenant governor, and the presiding officers of the legislature, which you are, as our speaker, one of those presiding officers. Mr. Speaker, may I ask you, and I apologize if I put you on the spot, but have you taken advantages? Are you paying for your own utilities?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank you for that, because if I'm, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe all of us have the same salaries. Is that correct? And you are a speaker, yet you make the same as we do. So with that said, essentially, my dear colleagues, our salaries are 1/4 of what our governor makes. He makes 120,000. We make barely over 30,000. And I know many of you, when we discuss our power bills, are struggling. I'm one of them. I'm religiously, in the evenings, early mornings, going around turning off things and everything, because we got 4 kids, and they tend to leave things on, and it freaks me out. We try to keep our power bill at 400, but with the increasing rates, it's difficult. So there is that struggle. But we have seen, and we can't turn a blind eye to that this is not, that the governor is getting these types of bills. We have seen some bills that are as high as 16,000 in 1 month, 7,000, 9,000, 13,000. These are quite high. I also wanted to comment that we do know from our documents that the governor also has run a commercial piggery. Now, I'm sure the previous governors, I don't know, you could correct me on this, but I don't think they had a private business on their own private property. And it seems unfair that our constituents, our ratepayers or taxpayers, would have to continue to pay for that. We do know that the piggery has existed since November of 2015 at least. And in February of 2016, they had at least 140 pigs. And 2 of the 3 septic tanks were overflowing because of, I guess there was too many pigs or whatever, into the stream. This was one of the concerns about it. But nonetheless, it is a commercial piggery, and it has operated for those many years. We're in dire straits right now. Not only do we always hear that we need to think of revenue generating bills, it's like all the weight's on us, as if we are going to somehow come up with all the ideas to this, which is really difficult in this COVID era. But we do realize that we also have to make some cuts. Colleagues, I don't know how much more we could cut our salaries. I think if we did any more, how would we even be able to support our own families? We have made tremendous sacrifices. I believe it is not asking too much if the governor and lieutenant governor also do the same. So I appeal to you and in considering this override, and I thank you again, my dear colleagues, for allowing me to speak on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Probst. Floor is still open. I recognize Representative Richard Lizama.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Speaker and my colleagues. I just want to point out, because I like what Rep. Props was saying. I've been in the military for 22 years and I've never seen anyone given utility allowances. There's no such thing. When you look at this government with the ability to have, what do you call it, high amount of utility usage, then let's talk about limitation. Shall we come up with allowances limited to a certain amount? We don't have that. So the best thing for us to do now is to protect, and we need to override this bill. Just keep in mind, thousands and thousands of dollars every month. That's not just the residential usage. Think about it. Average, there's no such unlimited usage of power or electricity. So with this, we like to override it, and I hope that you guys support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Lizama. The floor is still open. Recognize Representative Corina Magofnia. Rep. Magofnia, hold on real quick.
Okay, so
Representative Magofnia, I apologize. We're having technical difficulties. We'll take a short recess.
Technical languages aside, I would like to appeal to my fellow colleagues from a different angle. And we all understand that has been, perhaps that was the business practice of paying the utilities in lieu of the housing. And so just because it was done that way in the past, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right thing, right? As our law states, there's actually nothing on there that says that practice is allowed. And so we have to find a better way to go about, if that's what we would like to give to our governor and the other officials, that's fine. But let's make it reasonable and, okay for our people. So I would like to respectfully ask our colleagues, I would like to ask you guys, what does your conscience say? What does your principle say about this practice? And I hope that we would come to a compromise resolution about this. And just for the time being, I ask that you support this override with regards to the payment of the governor's utilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Magofnia. Any other member? Floor is still open. We ready? Ready. Anybody see where the floor leader went? I'll call for a quick recess. Oh, there you are. All right, members, we're back to session. Before we went on recess, the floor was still open for discussion. And if there's no other member, I'd like to recognize the clerk to call the roll, and the number is 14. for this override of this line item veto to pass. So clerk?
Representative Haddad? Representative Veto? Representative Selena Babalta?
Hungan.
Representative Sheila Babalta?
Yes.
Representative Joel Komatsu?
No.
Representative Vicente Komatsu?
Yes.
Representative Demapan?
Aye.
Representative Flores?
No.
Representative Guerrero?
No.
Representative Lizama?
Yes.
Representative Magofnia?
Yes.
Representative Magnolia?
Yes.
Representative Probst?
Yes.
Representative John Paul Sablan?
Aye.
Representative San Nicolas?
No.
Representative Staffler?
Yes.
Representative Yanktamai?
Awad.
Representative Yumo? Representative Fatal?
No.
Representative Yumo? Mr. Speaker?
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, 11 members voted yes and 8 members voted no. And one member is absent.
Thank you, clerk. With 11 voting yes and 8 voting no and 1 member absent, the override for this line item veto is unsuccessful. It does not pass. I now recognize